about the
So hold
people
on
that
now.
are being, yes, go ahead, Jeremy.
Since I just started recording, let's just go through the date, the time, and who's present.
I'm sorry.
You
Go
want to do
ahead.
that? Or you want me to?
Go ahead, take care of it.
So today is January 21st, 2021. It is 6:04 p.m. This is the executive board meeting of Community Board 11 in the Bronx. And we have a quorum present because we have the chairman, Albert D'Angelo, the vice chairman, Yahya Obeid, and the treasurer, Veronica Castro, and I'm Jeremy Warnke. I'm the district manager. We had a member of the public, but he left. Go ahead, Al.
Okay. Basically, the only one item we have on the agenda tonight is to deal with the people that have been absent at meetings or have not been coming to our general meetings or haven't been coming to their committee meetings. So, Jeremy, do you have the names?
Yeah. So let me pull up. Let me share my screen. If that's okay. So everybody can see the screen, the current full board attendance?
Yeah.
Okay, so on that, you have 6 people. So just to clarify, our bylaws say 3 unexcused in a row absences or 5 total unexcused or excused absences can bring you up for removal from the community board. This is for full board meetings only. This is in our bylaws. If you want me to bring up the bylaws, I can. But currently we have 6 people who have 3 absences in a row. That is, the first person is Malini Mahose. Second person is Silvio Mazzella. Third person is Marnie Rodriguez. Scroll down. Then Joseph Schensler, number 37. John Scuteri, number 44. Janice Walcott, number 48. With that, I would also say there are 2 people that are in the yellow zone. If you look at number 30, Vinny Prezioso has 4 excused this calendar year or community board year. The 5th one, he could be brought for removal. And the other person is, hold on, Junior Campbell has 3 absences, excused and unexcused. He needs 2 more, but he's the only one that has the most. He has a majority of the 5. He has 2 absences.
What number is he, Junior?
12, right here. He has 3 absences. 2 more, he could be up for removal. So I don't know if you want to talk to these people, if you want to talk to Sylvia. I don't know if you have Al, John Scuteri, Vinny Prezioso.
I think what we should do is, what I'll do is I'll give everybody a personal call first. And then if it happens again, we send them a letter. And then after that, we just we go into whatever procedures we have to go into to bring them before the board and have a vote on their removal. I know Pat Charles had called one time. She couldn't get on. She was excused. And Silvio Mazzella has always been has a hard time getting on for some reason. Yeah. I don't know why he couldn't get on a meeting last night at the association either. He got on it, I think, with the last 2 minutes left of the meeting. He finally got on. So I don't know whether it's inability to get online or, but that's got to be rectified one way or another. It's got to be rectified.
Yeah, I mean, after you speak to him, I could try to troubleshoot any computer issues he's having.
Yeah, I mean, if they have that kind of, if that's the issue that most are complaining about, what we'll do is we'll have a class for those people that are having trouble.
Well, I can tell you,
and you can walk them through what they have to do.
I can tell you, I've already spoken to Janice Walcott. I forget because she wanted to do a training or something, and I just reminded her because I knew she was borderline, and she said she knows she'll come or whatever. Molly LaHose, she's a Marchoni appointment whom I've spoken to about. She's been attending since, and then, but the rest of them I can't account for.
I mean, it just puts a burden on the entire board when people don't show up for meetings. You know, fighting to get a quorum, and the same thing happens with committee meetings. So, you know, if that's all right with the rest of the executive board, I'll give them all a call, a personal call, you know, letting them know that this is the case, and that you know, the next time there's going to be a letter of you know, a letter sent from the board, an official letter, having them brought up on charges before the board for removal. What's the what do you think, Veronica?
Veronica?
I agree.
Right.
I think that's the right move to do.
Yahe?
Yeah, you're nicer than me. I was just gonna say, we just go with the bylaws and bring them up for removal. But if you want to give them a heads up, since technology has
The only thing I'm concerned about is that my only concern was that if they're not computer literate, I don't want to punish somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. I'd rather err on the side of a caution rather than you know, if we had in-person meetings, it'll be a different story. Then I would agree with you, Yahi. I would just say, you know, sorry, but you were appointed to a position for a reason, and you're not fulfilling the duties.
Yeah, exactly. If this was the regular times where everybody had to come to a meeting, I'd say straight to, you know, voting for removal. But it is extenuating circumstances, and some people, like Al says, don't have the computer literacy to join the meeting sometimes.
I think. Go ahead, Jeremy.
So as long as you guys agree, and then maybe do a recap. So next month, next executive board meeting, recap, and, you know, because this is also excluding committee meetings. I don't exactly have committee meetings assembled the way I would like them, but I can add that. I can get that information together before you make these calls, Al.
Okay.
But committee meetings are a little bit different anyway. Committee is, you have to have 5 non-excused absences. It can be 3 in a row, unexcused, or 5 total unexcused. Whereas the full board could be excused or unexcused. But I mean, I was compiling it. I'm just didn't have it in time ready. So Harry and I can work on the rest of it tomorrow and whatnot.
So
My guess would be if they're absent for the general meetings, they're probably absent from their committee meetings also. So this way I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. In other words, mention the fact that they were absent for, you know, 3 consecutive general meetings, also for 3 or 4 committee meetings that they had.
Hey, Al, I wanted to suggest something.
Go ahead.
So I'm thinking, because we don't want to break the bylaws by, you know, we have the 3 meetings, the bylaws doesn't specify, and I understand we want to give them some leeway. And I think that maybe another way to do it is if you gave them a call and said, next Thursday, there's a meeting and you're going to be brought up for removal, come defend yourself and say, I had some technical issues. So if they do come and say, I had technical issues, I don't think anybody's going to vote to remove them. So if we continue, let's say we did proceed, and let's say we put up these 4 or 5 people up for removal, and Silvio shows up and says, yeah, I had technical issues. Or between now and next Thursday, after you speak to him, he gives you something in writing that says he has technical issues. Then I think it's good. But I have a feeling that the majority of these people that have been absent are going to continue to remain absent. I don't think it's going to change anything by us giving them another couple of months. So if we just proceeded maybe with the plan of with the bylaws, and they explain their case next month, or next week, next Thursday, I would vote not to remove them if they attended and said they had technical issues, or they even called in, or they even sent a letter. But to not completely do anything is unacceptable. Like, they could have called Jeremy and said, hey, I can't dial in. Boom, excused. To be just absent and not to care and completely forget about it, I think that's unacceptable.
Well, I know Pat Charles called me once and Silvio called me once, but I know, just knowing Silvio, he hasn't been on even the association. Well, again, I will call them. If you think they should be brought up at this point, we can think about that. I would just, I just feel under the circumstances that if we gave them
But I think
a phone call and let them know that this is what was going to happen.
But I think the board as a whole should give them that leeway. Not just, I don't think just us here, I just don't feel like we should go against the bylaws as the executive board. I feel like the whole board should understand what our intentions are and see if, and like I said, I think they will agree. If in that time that Silvio did call you, I would consider him excused. If he called and said, I can dial in, I think he's excused.
Well, that might be a good idea. We could put that on the agenda then for the full board meeting. In other words, you can mention it at your executive board, at the leadership meeting, that this is what we plan to do. And then we can make mention of it at the full board meeting. And at that point, we can decide which way we're going to go, whether we should bring them up on charges right away or give them a warning and let the board decide.
Okay, that sounds good. At least,
what do you think about that?
Everybody's in agreement. We don't want anybody being mad at us, especially the other chairs of those committees that can't get a quorum, even though they meet with the intention. And those folks that meet on Thursdays, and it takes us 15-20 minutes to get a quorum because we're barely getting a quorum every time, and it shouldn't be that way. These 5 people that are always absent should always be there,
I agree.
So
I just
go ahead, Al.
I just don't want to punish someone who doesn't know what they're doing. But what you said, they should at least call in every time they couldn't get on and say, look, I couldn't get on tonight, I couldn't get on today. I tried.
That's right.
My guess is most of the people that are absent all those times are probably don't have any interest in the community board at all.
Yeah, and like I said, maybe you'll give Silvio a call tomorrow, and he'll say, "Yeah, remember when I called you last time? Well, Silvio, we need you to write a letter, call in, or attend next week's meeting, and defend yourself."
But just to be clear, though, so the way it works, according to the bylaws, I can bring them up if you want. So first of all, you have to consult the leadership committee, but you can't just bring them up for removal. You have to put charges in writing. You have to give them the opportunity to defend themselves. You got to put it in writing first, though.
Okay.
And it has to be at an executive board meeting they can respond.
Now, we were saying that Silvio called Al to tell him he was having trouble logging in that one time.
You did.
Do we still consider that an absence, or is that an excused absence? If he called to tell you that he was having an issue.
That's an excused absence, but according to our bylaws, if you're absent 5 times, no matter what the excuse is, you're allowed 3 excuses. In other words, excused absences. But if you're absent 5 times from an executive, a general meeting, you're automatically brought up.
And has he been absent 5 times already?
No, he's been absent 3 times. 3 times in a row. So he came to September and he missed. I just stopped sharing it. I can share it again if you want. But he was present September, absent for the last 3 meetings. And if I
At
don't
which
hear,
meeting?
and if I don't hear from anybody, I just assume they're absent, unexcused. But if they're excused, if somebody tells me later on, ideally they can't come, they'll send an email, they'll put it in writing. Just, it's easier to keep track of that way ultimately.
Okay, so basically we're gonna keep him as being absent 3 times then, right?
Until he can provide reason or proof otherwise.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah, I mean, if like Al speaks to him tomorrow or tonight even, and he sends me an email, oh, Jeremy, Al told me, you guys discussed absences tonight. Please remember that I tell you or Harriet or ask Harriet, I told her about October and I was sick in November. That's my fault. I apologize, whatever. I mean, I usually will change it to whatever legitimate reason I get. I mean, ultimately, it's the chair. I leave it ultimately to the chair of the board for the full board meetings and the chair of the committee for the committee meetings. Like, for example, like public safety and ethics, since you guys are both chairs of those committees, everybody attended your I don't remember. I know I got minutes from Veronica, but I don't remember what they said. Did everybody attend those meetings?
Joseph was the only one that didn't attend the public safety meeting.
He was marked absent though, correct?
Correct. I didn't hear from him, and I didn't hear that anybody else heard from him.
Okay. Ultimately, I put you in charge of that. I mean, if I don't hear from them, I'll just, if you don't put it, I'll mark it absent. But if you tell me otherwise, okay. But you already got that. Yeah, for ethics, was everybody present for your committee? I assume so.
No.
No.
You'll get the Naomi. I think we had 4. Adit was absent. Ken Gelnick was absent, and I feel like there's one more. I just can't think who else was absent.
Unexcused.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So if you don't hear from them,
Adit sent me an email or a text later on, said she had class at that time. So I don't know if you would consider that excused or not.
I would, but it's ultimately your call, Al. Or yeah.
Yeah, that's what we consider an excused absence. She's not going to skip class to come to a meeting.
Yeah. So that's what I would do. I would do the same thing. Excused.
Yeah, she didn't notify me in advance. That's the only thing.
Yeah. So it's ultimately your call.
But the bylaws state if you're absent 5 times, no matter what the reason, excused, not excused, you can be brought up on, be removed from the board.
That's just for the full board, though. That's not for committee.
Yeah, full board. That's not the committee meetings.
And then, so Ken Gelnick is absent, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess. And if there's anybody else, let me know. But I'll put the rest present for now. But yeah, I'm not fully having the committee attendance where it is where I want to present it to you. But do you want me to pull up the bylaws? Would that be helpful? I don't know if that would be helpful for you guys. Because it does have to be done in writing.
I don't think it's necessary. What since what we're going to do is Yahe will bring up at the leadership committee that we're going to pursue the people that haven't been in attendance. And at the general board meeting, we'll make an announcement that this is what we're going to do for people that have missed X amount of meetings. And at that time, hopefully you'll have the sheet there with the absentee rate. And then we can go from there. I'll make the phone calls. I'll call everyone. This way they're aware of what's going to happen ahead of time. And then, this way everybody's aware of what's going to happen. I know it's difficult times because things are different. And I know there are people out there that don't have the ability, and I'm one of them, I'm not very computer literate, but there's always a way. I mean, I've called you a number of times and you helped me through this, so they could have done the same thing.
So we want to bring them up on charges for the next executive board meeting. Is that what we were saying?
I wouldn't bring up the charges at the next executive board, the next executive board meeting.
Yeah, because according to the bylaws, you can't just bring it to the full board for their removal.
Yeah, right.
You have to go to the executive board. You have to tell them about the next executive board meeting at which they can respond in person or in writing to the charges. It's if you want, I'll share the bylaws. It's page 2 of our bylaws.
So what you're saying, Al, you, instead of doing it today, send them the letters, voting on sending them the letters of warning today, you want to wait until next month?
Yeah, I would give them that, I'd give them that leeway. In other words, I'd like to call them first and just warn everybody. Let them know we're going to follow through with this. And then let them decide whether they're going to continue with the absenteeism or they're going to decide that they want to be part of this board. This way we don't have any, we could say that we, again, we bring them up on the charges, we could say, look, we called them, we warned them, we told them about it. And the only reason we did it was because the times are different. A lot of the meetings were virtual. A lot of people, had trouble getting on, if that's the case. But that's not going to be held as an excuse unless we get a call telling us that they couldn't get on or that they were having trouble one way or another, with the technology.
Well-
Yeah, and at this point, they should be able to figure it out. It's been long enough that they should have found a way to be able to sign on no matter what.
Yeah, I agree.
So Al, you're going to reach out to all of them.
You'll give me the list tomorrow with the phone numbers. I will call everybody and just let
Now, if
them know
you want,
you
wanna see-
that they've been absent X amount of days, and the bylaws state that if you're absent X amount of days, you can be removed from the board.
okay.
And we'll also bring it up at the leadership meeting, telling people what we're going to do. And at the general meeting, let people know that we're going to follow through with people that have been absent.
So basically, you want to give them a chance to show up to the full board meeting next week. And if they don't, then next month.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my feelings. What anybody else feel.
So if they don't show up at the full board meeting next week, we could still bring them up on charges for the
Absolutely.
following month.
Yep.
And
Is that
even
okay?
if they do show up, they still have all those absences consecutively. So, I feel like even if they show up, they're still in jeopardy, right?
Yes.
But at least if they show up, they show initiative. So when they do get the letter, when we do,
At least they're aware of what's going to happen before it happens. And that's, I just want to let them know in advance that this is what's going to happen. And, if you have a legitimate excuse, then make sure you're ready to present that.
yeah.
So to maybe assist Yahya in what he's getting at, I think maybe a step further, not bringing them up on charges, but giving them the opportunity to not show up to the next meeting, but to explain why they've been absent for the other meetings. Do you want to do that?
That would be in their defense. In other words, if they're going to, defend the reason why they shouldn't be thrown off the board, then they should bring it up. Look, I couldn't get on 2 times, or I had trouble, whatever nonsense excuse they want to give. But that's their chance to do that at the full board meeting.
Yeah, I just think it's total disrespect to the board, not to show up 4 times for some of these folks without calling. Like, did you forget that you signed up for this? Like, you can call anyone, just send an email. They're hammered with Jeremy's emails. The least they can do is reply to one and say, hey, I don't care anymore.
But we also get Harriet sends out a robocall before the meeting. So, there's no excuse not to know about the meeting.
A phone call. Like, I really don't care. If all those were excused, like that guy that has Vincent, he's been excused 4 or 5 times. I respect him for making that phone call.
No.
So just to be clear though, if you, to put it in writing, they don't go before the full board to explain themselves. They have to go before the executive board to explain themselves. So if you want to give them the opportunity to show up next week, as well as explain why they weren't at the other meetings in the meantime, and then decide whether or not you'll actually bring them up on formal charges. But if you do, it has to be done for the next executive board meeting, not the full board meeting.
Yeah, understood.
So in other words, they would come before the next executive board meeting, which would be in a month.
Yeah, basically a month from now.
And then if we decide at that meeting that they should be brought up before the general board, then we'll move on that. That makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they don't, I think the easiest thing is if they don't show up next Thursday and they don't explain why they've been absent for the past since September, then they will be brought up on charges. And I, for the next executive board meeting. I think you just explain that as long as the leadership goes with it. I mean, well, I don't think leadership has to go along with it. You just have to consult them.
Yeah, since it is in the bylaws, I mean, it's something that's just a matter of letting them know. It's not a matter of, the decision is already there. In fact, what we're doing is being more lenient than we should be. And that's only because of the state of the way things are at this point.
So just to be clear, after consultation and input from the leadership committee, a motion to institute removal proceedings, setting forth for the cause for the proposed removal shall be adopted by a majority of the executive board. So, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it next. We'll talk about it at 7 o'clock. See how it goes, I guess.
Okay, we're good. I mean, I have nothing else. Anybody have anything?
I don't have anything.
We do have a member of the public. I don't know if you want to see if he has anything he'd like to say.
Robert, do you have anything?
No comment. It's your board. You do what you want.
All right.
So,
I will say you're going to come into very hard times.
Anything else?
Do homeless shelters. So you're going to need all the members you can get.
Yeah, right. Okay, motion to adjourn?
Jeremy, you're supposed to yell at Al and tell him we don't need a motion to adjourn in a committee meeting.
well, it's a board meeting. It's not a committee
That's
meeting.
right.
It's an executive board meeting.
Oh, okay, yeah, then you're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah, see that? La, 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 la. Now can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. Unless anybody's opposed, it's unanimous.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nobody? Aye. Motion's carried. We're adjourned. See you guys at 7. See you at 7.
And meeting ended at 6:32. Thanks, Al. Bye.